we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Be Dynamic podcast. It's our very first one. We're unveiling the future of personalized wellness with Dynamic Health Institute. In our first episode, we're answering the question, what makes DHI stand out above the rest? With me, I have two very important people. The first one is Evan Gray. He's CEO of Dynamic Health Institute. He is going to share his vision, his founding story, and his leadership perspective. We also have Allison Ruest. Did I say right? Yay. She is a physician's assistant. She provides clinical insight and explains DHI's medical approach and what drives patient care. So we're going to hear some good things from them today. My name is Maggie Topham, and I am thrilled to be here. Especially starting this new podcast. We've got a lot of good information and we want to help change your life. This is a space where science meets soul, at least it did for me. And we redefine what it means to live well. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, I've walked the walk. I've been in the depths of depression and metabolic illness. I've been there and I know the pain. I've had the privilege of coaching, teaching, walking alongside thousands of people on their wellness journey. But this isn't just a career for me. It's been a calling, and I know it is for these two too. I've turned my paid work into a deep purpose of helping others unlock their full potential, physically, mentally, metabolically. I'm a lifelong student of research, movement, and human resilience, constantly looking for fresh ways to connect the dots between what we know and how we live. Here on Be Dynamic, I'll bring you evidence-based insights, real conversations, and powerful tools to help you not just exist, but thrive, especially through the dynamic transformation of midlife and beyond. Because the truth isn't static, it's vibrant, it's evolving, and most of all, dynamic. And so are you. So let's get into this. Before we go any further, I'd like to explain what we plan to accomplish with this podcast. First, the title, Be Dynamic. So I plugged this into ChatGPT. And what a ChatGPT. The phrase be dynamic means be energetic, be adaptable, and constantly evolving. It encourages someone to embrace change and not resist it, to stay in motion, both mentally and physically, be proactive instead of passive. This happens a lot in the medical world, and grow and improve, not stay stagnant. In a health mindset context, it often implies being flexible in your approach, pushing yourself to try new things, and responding to challenges with resilience and energy. To be dynamic is the opposite of being static. It means living with intention, movement, and power.
Yeah.
Get it, girl.
There you go.
All right.
I'm not going to try to one up that.
So having explained our mission, this offers the perfect segue into my first question. So we're going to bring Evan to the screen here. He is the founder of Dynamic Health Institute. Evan, I know you've got a great story. It's a great pain to purpose story. So will you share with our listeners or our viewers your story and your background? Kind of let them know how this all came about.
Sure. And thanks, Maggie. Hi, Allison. I was ready for you to give everybody my weight and my boxing record and then have Allison and I go at it. Let's get ready to rumble. So my name's Evan Gray, and I am proud to be the CEO of Dynamic Health Institute, which started for me about 5 years ago when I woke up with a terrible headache, and it didn't go away for 4 months. It persisted, and then I got an increase in other symptoms that I had never had before, was definitely not used to, and no one could give me answers, and no one really cared. And I had to pay a lot of money out of pocket to get my own testing to see what was wrong with me. So I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and kind of get into that a little bit more. So as I said, I woke up with a headache. A couple days persisted. The headache did not go away, and I went to see my primary care physician. My primary care physician gave me some ibuprofen and told me to go home. A week later, I was back in his office, and I said, it's still here. So he said, maybe I should refer you over to an otoneurologist, which I went to see. I never even knew what an otoneurologist did. But that day, the otoneurologist didn't find anything wrong with me, but I walked away with really clean ears, which was a good thing. They work on your ears, I guess. He was looking for something in there. Fortunately, he didn't find anything. Headache persisted. Now I was feeling like I was hungover every day. So I have this headache and this, I guess some people call that brain fog, but it really felt like if you've ever been hungover before from going out and maybe having it too many, it felt like that, but I hadn't had anything to drink. So now I have a headache and this brain fog, and now I start getting symptoms like numbness in my upper appendages, which was followed by pins and needles. And now I'm getting really scared. I go back to my primary care physician. He refers me to a neurologist. I go in to see the neurologist, and he sends me home after he gives me a CAT scan and says, nothing's wrong with you. I couldn't figure out what was going on, except I knew something was wrong. So after about a week of these symptoms continuing on, the worst thing that happened was I started getting twitching in my calves and in my chest. So I referred back to Dr. Google, like we all do, trying to self-diagnose myself. And the things that kept coming up was ALS. And I've lost 2 really close friends to ALS. It was the most unfortunate thing I've ever had to witness in my life. Both of those friends of mine have since passed. And now I think I have ALS and I'm terrified. So I went back to the neurosurgeon and I asked the neurosurgeon if he thought that might be the problem. And he said it could be. So I literally dropped to my knees in his office and I asked for an MRI, and he said, well, we're not going to do an MRI. We're going to do a study called an EEG on you, which they basically take acupuncture needle connected to a wire and they electrocute you to see if you have dead nerve endings. So if you feel it and you get that electric shock, that means the nerve is alive. If you don't feel it, that's a bad sign, because the dead nerve endings indicate an autoneuron problem, and ALS is one of those. Thank God that day I had the EEG and I did not have any signs of dead nerve endings. So I did not have ALS, and I still don't know what's going on, but I did stare up at the clouds that day and it was pouring rain, and I smiled and thank God that I did not have that disease. So I go back and forth with my neurologist to try to identify this. We become actually pretty good friends in the process. And the neurologist says, hey, what we haven't done for you, Evan, is we haven't checked you for Lyme disease or for B12. So he had me right in, took a blood test, called me back within 2 hours and said, you do not have Lyme disease, but you don't have any B12 in your body. So basically what was going on, my understanding of it anyway, is not being a medically licensed person, is that my red blood cells were being born immature. And that was causing all of these neurological symptoms in me. And as soon as he started administering B12 shots, I'm sure the placebo effect kicked in after my first one, because I started feeling better already. But in 3 days, all of the symptoms had been eradicated. Everything was gone. I felt fine again. So end of this long story, and it was longer for me. This persisted for 4 months. But the end of the story was I reflected back and I found that nobody really cared. I just got sent from doctor to doctor as they spun their wheels on trying to figure out what was going on. I paid a lot of money out of pocket. There was no empathy. I couldn't find any solutions. So I decided to open up a company where there's a lot of bedside manner. People really care. Our people, who we call wellness counselors, and folks like Allison, who's your practitioner, really care about what's going on. And we do a really deep dive to see what is really going on, what your symptoms are, what your goals and objectives are, what your lifestyle is. So it's really for anyone, men, women, and couples, to try to help them live a higher quality of life and not have to experience what I did. So that's really the purpose behind Dynamic. And Maggie, I have to say, I loved your definition of be dynamic, because that's what we should all strive to be. So yeah. Thank you for letting me tell my story.
Thank you for sharing your story. And sadly, it's just so relatable. So many people have a pain to purpose story. Did they have the charisma to go start their own business? Probably not, but I'm sure glad you did, because I know just my own story is much like that, and I'll tell it eventually, but how I eventually came to Dynamic, sitting in my car, crying, talking during my first discovery call, just because someone finally was listening and it was speaking my language. So that's why I'm here, because I believe in everything you're doing, and we got to spread the word, because so many people need help out there. Allison, Just know, I know you've known Evan for a long time, and you've heard this story before, and I'm sure it has shaped the way you handle patients. So kind of walk us through how this has shaped your approach to wellness with working with Dynamic Health Institute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm not even sure if you completely know my full story, but
No, tell
I've been
us.
in this space 18 years.
That's a long time. Yes, give us the whole shebang.
And it was this functional med was not widely accepted 18 years ago. I will tell you that. So I am beaming with pride to hear story after story after story with how accepted this specialty is now, because I came into the specialty the same reasons you guys did, because of my own experience that was being misdiagnosed. And that, you know, that's, I think, with dynamic or functional med in general, why it's so important is we're getting to the root cause. We're finally, and I love what both of you said, is when, you know, somebody was finally listening to me. And I tell that to patients all the time. Good news is you're in decent health, but good news is I see a lot of things wrong. So there's hope and we can help you. Where most of the time it's not, you're getting older, you know, and this is just how it's going to be. That's a depressing feeling to have, right? As when we know our quality of life should be superior when we're optimizing, we're doing all the right things. So, you know, as far as dynamic goes, why I love functional med, why I'm a part of this team, is it truly is a team effort. You know, like Evan just mentioned earlier, we have wellness counselors that are going to be a part of that team with every patient, just like you said, Maggie, where you got on that call, that discovery call, they cared about what you were saying. And then we get on that, we get the labs done, obviously, and it is a very extensive panel of lab, just so you guys know, and we're prepared for that. So we can get to the root of that problem. We can truly diagnose and look at the medical history, see where you're at. And what I always tell my patients is, this is not me throwing medication at you. This is me educating you, because we are a team. This is me telling you where your levels are, where they should be. Start making that list of recommendations, so that way you can make that educated decision based off of what we talked about on what you want to get started on. And then we follow you closely after that with the wellness counselors to make sure you're getting, because these are very individualized treatment plans, to make sure you're getting that treatment and you're getting the goals that you're looking for.
Oh, I love that. And that's exactly what you guys do. That's been my experience.
Yeah.
And then other people I've worked with and talked to, that has been their experience as well. So Evan, now that you've started this business, you've been in it what now? 7, 8 years? How long have you been at this?
About that long in total, specifically like formally 5.
Okay. All right. So when you first had this vision and what you wanted to create, has it come to life the way you thought it was going to? And if not, has it taken a different shape or a different path as far as serving your clients? Is it what you wanted it to be?
It's exactly what I wanted it to be. It's kind of interesting how things fell into place. It was more like an epiphany because I started the company based on a health scare of my own, where, you know, I didn't know much about functional medicine myself. So what do you need to do? You need to put people around it that do have the knowledge. But I wanted to make sure that 2 things were prioritized at the top. Number 1 is the safety of our patients, because I felt like no one really knew answers, and I was getting scared when they were like, well, let's try this, let's try that. It's like, well, that's a kind of a recipe for disaster. I'm not feeling very confident that you're not confident, or should I say, since you're not confident. And then the second thing is to treat each patient like they're our only patient. I mean, if you know, that's another thing. I felt like I was the herd standing in line. I was calling. I remember one specific day, I was begging for the results of my MRI, because I started developing mental health anxiety. So they give me an MRI as one of the tests that I paid for out of pocket. And it was a Friday. I think we were going into like Labor Day weekend or something. It was going to be a long weekend. I didn't want to wait. And nobody would tell me what the results were. All I wanted, I guess they call it a wet read. I just wanted someone to tell me everything was okay. I had to spend 3 days on the beach with my family pretending like everything was okay. And I'm sure you ladies have gone through something similar in your lives, where you're like, I don't really want to tell anybody, I have to be on my game because my kids are here and we're away. And the whole time I just spent like in space on my own, just like I wasn't feeling well because of all the symptoms. And then I couldn't get answers. And it was probably the worst weekend I've ever had in my life. So I wanted to make sure, back to the question of has it kind of done what I thought it was going to do? Yes, because if you build it, they will come. And, you know, if you referring back to that Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams, it's like you put the right baseball players around the field and they're going to make the outs for you. Right. So first time I've ever used that analogy. I'm not sure if it fits, but I think it does.
It fits.
Because for me, it was an idea that I had, but the people that we've gotten culturally at this company, I always say this, the people that we hire, you need to either be Florence or Fred Nightingale's part of their ancestral tree. Because you really need to have that bedside manner and real empathy. And then behind that, have the solutions to provide to people to match up with what they're trying to achieve.
I love that. And I think one of the, to tell if the atmosphere is nurturing and successful is look how long people have stuck around. Like, look at these people that mean a lot to you. They are loyal. They've been there for a long time. That means you're doing good things with a good atmosphere, good support, good. So it's really, from the outside looking in, has been dynamic. It's been really neat to watch that and see those relationships between the team you guys have created.
Can I give up a little secret on that?
Yes.
I'm going to give up a trade secret to my friendly competition out there. We are doing everything we can to grow at a controlled pace. Allison knows this firsthand. We literally, you know, we're philanthropic. We're philanthropic, but at the same time, we are a for-profit company, right? So we want to keep the lights on for our patients. You have to go out there and get new patients all the time. But we are growing at a controlled pace. So if we feel like we're growing too quickly, we will slow down, or I always call it turning off the spigot, which is an old term for like turning off the water faucet. We'll turn that off so we don't reach capacity where it just is disruptive to our patients. So we grow at the strength of our team. And if we don't have a team member in place to handle more patients coming in, we'll keep the existing patients that we have.
So give me an example of what turning off the spigot looks like. How do you turn off the spigot?
So we won't put a marketing effort or a campaign forward, which usually drives more business to
Just kind of pull back the reins a bit.
Yeah. And it works successfully. It kind of gives you the ability to kind of like go back into a huddle and say, you know, ask the team, is everything going well? Are you guys able to handle your patients? And you know, what for me is the strong indicator is noise. If there's no noise, and we check in on this every day, we have a round table every day with the whole team where everybody gets together, and I ask, are there any issues with any of our patients? And the calmer that is, the better I feel about how the business is running. As we start to go out and get more patients, if the volume goes up, we slow that down again.
That's a good metric. I like that. Good business model. So Allison, being part of the team he built so they would come, you're on the inside. I mean, I know Evan he's got his fingers in, he knows what's going on with patients and clients and advocates and wellness counselors, but like you're in there talking to all of them.
Yes.
And as this business has grown, with certain clients or patients, what has been like a common roadblock you may have encountered or noticed when people coming in? What would stop people from wanting the service?
Well, what I'm going to say, just going back to what Evan was saying, turning off the spigot, it's hard to do with a business like this because we get referrals all the time. So that's whether you turn it on or off, the people are still coming in. They're so happy. And that's a lot.
We don't know the spigot's off. We're still like, okay, let's send the people.
They still get, and I'm a testament to that as well with how long I've been doing this. I still have patients of mine that have been with me for 18 years, and that's how long I've been doing it because of, like we said, the empathy and we care, and you know, like that people resonate with that when they see that you truly care and you're not just a number, like Evan said. Okay, so roadblock. Honestly, I think because a lot of people with mainstream medicine were used to insurance, and unfortunately, even with insurance now, that's going away. Most of my, especially here in South Florida, we're seeing most of the primary care is going to like more of a concierge practice where it's no longer insurance. So that's probably the biggest roadblock. But I think when people are finally realizing, and I just had this conversation with the patient today, that they said, "Hey, I'll buy that bag and I'll buy this, material things, but I truly need to see that I have to put the money into me, into my health, because I'm not going to be good for anybody if I'm no longer healthy, or I'm not feeling good, or to my family, to my friends, to my workplace." So I honestly, I think that's probably the biggest roadblock. But I think once people see what they're getting from us, how good they're feeling, that quality of life, it's a no-brainer. They're in it fully, right?
And isn't it sad that you have to point that out? I was
Yeah.
just thinking about this today, actually. There's so many people that are shopping at so many different stores. They're getting all of their supplements from Amazon, and then they're going to their primary care for their hormones, and then they're going to a whole other company for their peptides. If they add that all together, they're paying so much more, insurance or not. And so
you really can't put a price tag on service either.
You can't.
And you're
you
not,
cannot.
there is, just like Evan said, just like you did, Maggie, and I will say this so I'm blue in the face. When you have got a solid functional med practice that you're a part of, or you're a patient of, you will not get that service anywhere else. They're not spending an hour of their time reviewing labs with you. They're not, educating you on what those labs look like. They're not educating you what the medications are recommending, nor the lifestyle, because I always tell my patients, I'm like, look at the doctor or the primary care that's telling you to take this or do that. Do they look healthy to you? If not, do you want to take advice? Just like if you're going to a hairdresser and you don't like the way their hair looks, you're not probably going to get your hair done. So, there's something to say, as far as that goes. You're never going to get the service like you would, and you can't put a price tag on that. You really can't.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Allison, because I think about that all the time. I am not claiming that I invented this stuff at all. Functional medicine was around way before Dynamic was around, but it's similar to another analogy for you. How about that? So it's like whoever invented chocolate, all of a sudden Hershey bars came out, and Snickers bars and M&Ms. There's all different varieties of chocolate out there now. You can go to all these different pop-up functional, they call themselves functional medicine providers. Yep. And you get access to some things I'll give you an example. You can get access to a drug called finasteride. Allison is a medically licensed person. You'll back me up on that story, hope or not. You can get access to this drug called finasteride, which is typically used for dysfunction in your prostate, things like BPH,
or hair loss too.
And I was getting to the hair loss, or for hair loss. I guess they found that it will restore hair. Some of these functional medicine companies will prescribe you finasteride if you send them a picture of the scalp of your head. Just because, genetically you satisfied what we needed to see. So here's finasteride. Unbeknownst to the patient that finasteride causes, and I could have the statistic a little off, but I think this is kind of in the right area. 10% of the people who take finasteride will have temporary impotence as a male. 1% of the people who take finasteride will have permanent impotence. If I took you a picture of my scalp and got finasteride and that happened to me, I would not be very happy at all. So it's this whole thing about responsibility. These are popping up everywhere, these little functional medicine practices. You need to be extremely careful as a client, patient, whatever someone who is seeking these things out, that you're getting the oversight from someone like Allison. You're listening to testimonials from someone like Maggie, who has been trying to find answers and finally did. And Allison, you said something a minute ago about, how important it is to have that retention of clients, and people who come back and refer you to other friends because, they just trust you. Your health and medicine is a 100% trust business. The meds that you get, the advice that you get, the dosing requirements that you have, the quality of the medication, all of those things, you're trusting people will come up and give you all of these things and they're going to be 100% right. I would never leave that out there to someone who's not qualified to do this or someone who does it irresponsibly.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about that.
No, and I love that. Can I just really quick, so while you're on that topic, just because I've been doing this for so long, people really don't understand that we didn't learn this in medical school. We didn't learn bioidentical hormones. We didn't learn HRT. So what the naysaying that you might hear from the other doctors in the mainstream medicine is more out of ignorance, honestly. So you are so true in that response as far as, you want to make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing. Like, I went and got fellowshipped after the fact in functional med to make sure I knew what I was doing. And honestly, it comes with the territory and experience. But you have to be careful. And these other places that are just prescribing hormones without even labs, you guys be safe out there.
Yeah, the other part of that, and I think everyone probably nod their heads who watch this. We go right from a mental health issue today, right? Like someone comes in and says, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, right to an SSRI. So an anti-anxiety, anti-depression medication or what have you for whatever they feel is your issue. We don't stop in between. We go right from, okay, I talked to you for an hour and I'm going to prescribe whatever that anti-anxiety, anti-depression med is, where we would love to see everybody check under the hood first, like get comprehensive blood panel testing done to see if it's a hormone deficiency or something like I had experienced where my body was going haywire neurologically. And it was because I didn't have any B12 in my body. All they needed to do was start, and there were a lot of doctors who were like, oh, you just need Prozac. You just need, this SSRI, or, like maybe you need to spend more time on the treadmill or stop, quit one of your jobs. It's like, what? So that is really helpful to at least, if there's anything that you take away from this discussion, it's at least go get yourself checked out. It's easy to do.
So you just told my story completely. Like I'd spent a year, I'd probably been to 6 different doctors. Every doctor put me on a different SSRI, 27 years of SSRIs. And I just kept getting worse and worse. Then they started adding sleeping pills onto that. And then the medication just kept coming and coming. So when I finally had that phone call and someone was like, oh, hey, there's some other options, I was like, I knew there was.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to that place.
Yeah.
So what a relief it was to me, why I sat there sobbing in my car, because 27 years of this. And finally someone was saying, oh, I see you. We got you. Yeah. And
I love
they did changed.
Maggie, it like I can tell like that this is just an awakening for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell. It's like we all sit there for so long without answers. And just going back to the SSRI thing, SSRIs do make sense in a lot of situations.
Yes.
Or
this
they
wasn't my
complementary
me anymore.
Complementary or complemented with something else, or maybe you don't need them and you didn't need to take that path, but you need to find out. Maggie, you went through that for 27 years.
Yes.
That's awful. Just awful.
Yeah. Well, what I tell patients all the time is you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't get tested, then how are you going to know what needs to be optimized? Because that's when our body, that's truly when we feel our best, is when we're optimized. When we reduce, and that I tell patients this all the time, our goal is to reduce inflammation and balance the body hormonally, nutritionally, whether that be through lifestyle, whether that be through pharmaceutical grade supplements, whether it be through bioidentical hormones, peptides, whatever it is. And we will go through that long list, but our goal is to truly get you optimized so you do not need those medications, and I can go down the whole long list of the statins and the cholesterol meds, the blood pressure meds, the SSRIs, whatever it may be. Our body needs balance. End of story. We're getting to the root of the problem. Gut health, like all of the above.
Well, what I was hanging on to is I had heard a phrase somewhere that life is normal if you 50-50, if you feel happy 50% of the time. I hung on to that for dear life. And I'm here to tell you that's bullshit.
It is. It is.
You do not have to settle for that. And for how many years I thought, I'm okay if I'm happy half the time. Do not settle
That's
for that.
awful.
There are answers out there. Oh, and I clung to it for dear life.
Oh.
I'm okay. And I was reaching for that 50%. Like I was stretching it a bit.
Oh.
Wasn't quite
Right,
there.
and that's a great kind of use the word segue earlier. I would say that's a great segue into like, so what do you do like when you've gotten to that point? And preferably you haven't gotten to that breaking point. You just go do this. Like as an example, in terms of like how can I talk about dynamic process a little, Maggie? Or
Please,
did you have
yeah.
something else?
Yeah.
No, please go for it.
So a lot of people like, well, you know, there's all these Instagram ads, and most of them today are like weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. Vanity is a huge thing, right? I mean, cosmetic brands and clothing and makeup, and everyone wants to look good. And these GLP-1s are helping people. They're an offshoot of people who have a high A1C or high blood sugar levels, or, you know, now they turned it into, well, you found out you can lose a lot of weight on these peptides, these GLP-1 drugs. So we believe in that too. You know, you want to look good, and they do help you in a lot of other aspects of life, like reducing stress on your body through weight loss. Feeling better is a great medicine in and of itself. So getting on a GLP-1, getting your body to where you want it to be, being happier, less stress, you'll probably hopefully live longer, right? But at the same time, there's so much more to this than just that. It's so you have to go to a place that's full functional medicine. So you're not just taking GLP-1s, and you're not taking GLP-1s without oversight. All of those, you need to find out what's my treatment plan need to look like, and make sure someone's going to watch over you and advocate for you. So the way that we do it with Dynamic is you get to that point and you just go on our website and you book a consultation. A consultation consists of what we call a dynamic health discovery. A dynamic health discovery is a one-on-one with one of our wellness counselors, where objectively you get to spend a half an hour in therapy with them. I'm not kidding. It's like, so you're spending a half an hour on the phone talking about you. What's your lifestyle? What are the things that you like to do? What are your goals and objectives? What would you love to see come out of whatever it is you're striving for? We want to know what your symptoms are and how we might be able to alleviate some of those. And then what we do with all of that information is we ask you to go through what we call a comprehensive blood study. So comprehensive panels of what they call biomarkers. So there are these different biomarkers. Allison will give you a better definition than I do, but they're indicators in our body telling us what's going on inside. And we check 85 different biomarkers when we do our comprehensive studies. Your typical physical, Allison, is what, 30? Less than 30 biomarkers?
Yeah, probably less than 30.
So we're doing like 3 times that amount in the stuff that we're looking at. And once we get that test back and we understand what your goals and objectives and your lifestyle are and what your symptoms are, that's when you get to talk to Allison. And Allison, as a licensed practitioner, will get on the phone with you and say, here are your results. There are some ways that we could make you feel a lot better or help you reach your objectives. And then there are things that you might want to do as well to try to achieve other things. And as a licensed practitioner with 18 years of experience doing functional medicine, not just being a practitioner, functional medicine practitioner, she's the person that we get all of these referrals from our existing clients to see. So what we did is we built around the Allison model, is we've found other functional medicine practitioners who are similar to Allison, where they have that background, they have that knowledge, they have that bedside manner or that empathy, and they know exactly what to prescribe, because it's not the 2 to 4 hours of medical school videos that you watch or listen to, or the one lecture that you get. It's years and years and years of experience talking to people like us that are going through something without resolution, and now you can finally find the answer. So you get your dynamic health discovery, you get your labs done, you go see Allison, she puts you on a treatment plan, you get an ongoing dedicated wellness counselor to take care of you into perpetuity, and we all live great lives as a result of it.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything there?
Well, no, and what I always tell patients is, you know, going back to that team, like once you join Dynamic, you are part of that team now. So everybody, these are very, very individualized treatment plans. Everybody is different, especially us women when we're dealing with hormones. We're difficult in everything we do, especially the hormones. So it is imperative that they have that wellness counselor. And I think that's why that part is so important, because they're the liaison between the patient and the medical team. So issues, concerns, questions are not hitting the goals. They feel like something needs to be changed. They are in constant contact with that wellness counselor in the portal. Easy access, unlike if you went to your doctor, you're not getting quick access. You're not being able to message them on a daily basis. I am in, and so or all of the other practitioners, complete contact all day, every day, even weekends, with the wellness counselor, so we can make sure we're guiding you and making those necessary changes. So we're really on top of it. And it's not just throwing medication at a problem and saying, good luck, let's see how you do. And, in 6 months from now, we are there in the grind with you all day, every day to make sure you're getting where you need to be.
So what do you,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Evan.
Maggie? No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, my next question was just about what sets you apart from your competitors. And I would say that would be one of the number one aspects. Is there anything else you want to add to that as far as what sets you apart from these competitors? Because so many people out there are doing functional telemed, and I can tell you they do not have what you have.
Yeah.
So full functional medicine is one. Not just piecemealing it. I heard earlier on, we were talking about some people go to their local drugstore, and then they go to Amazon for this, and then they go to this one for GLP-1s, and then they go to this one for the primary for the hormones. We provide a fully functional suite of products and services in functional medicine. So that separates us. We are, the glass is full here. We have all of those things available to you if they make sense based on what Ellison recommends. The second thing is, which trumps the first one, sorry, Ellison, but it does, is safety. You have to make sure you're working with a team of people who have a deep knowledge base. The other thing is that there are a lot of other vendors involved. So we vet and do strong due diligence on compounding pharmacies and lab testing companies and the practitioners that we work with, who are typically outside parties. But we don't just hire anybody, or pricing is great somewhere, so we jump on and say, oh, you're the most inexpensive, we'll use you. We look for state regulations and reviews, and we put all of our vendors, unfortunately for them, through the ringer before we decide to work with them. And then culturally, they need to be aligned too. They need to have a similar vision of, treating each patient like they're their only patient, and safety being paramount. So I would say, number one is full functional medicine. Number two is the safety, and number three, certainly having each patient feel like they really matter and they're not just a number.
Love that.
Anything you want to add to that, Allison?
No, I think he nailed it. And that's the other thing,
good.
like you said, with the full functional med, is you guys, we're not just like a lot of these other companies that it's like a one size fits all lab panel and that's it, and may or may not even be reviewed by anybody. We have a full revisit list. We have additional with the adrenal cortisol testing, and we like the saliva testing. We do the gut health. We do stool testing. I mean, there is so many additional things that you're not going to see just from any, functional med place that you're going online for.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of these services aren't even the ones I have used yet. And so many people, 80% of the population needs gut testing.
Yeah.
So it's just the spectrum of services. You guys, you're really the only place that does all of it. Yeah. And with the care and quality that you do. So I know myself, I feel so fortunate to be in the circle with y'all, and I want to be respectful of your time. So I want you to share, what's one last thing you want to leave with listeners about Dynamic, about your story, about why should they go to the website? And maybe Evan, you can tell them where to find Dynamic as well, and what they can expect from the website, but leave them with something that can help contribute to the future health.
Sure. First of all, it's dynamichealthinstitute.com. We're also Dynamic Health Institute on Instagram, and you can find us on all the other social media platforms. So I would say, don't wait. If it doesn't feel right, get it checked. A lot of people are reluctant to go to the doctor. You don't have to go to the doctor anymore. You can sit on your couch, talk to Allison. You can sit on your couch, have a mobile phlebotomist come to your home and draw your blood. Sorry, folks, you're out of excuses. You know, if there's something that doesn't feel right, you need to get it checked. And we built this model to make it easy and efficient for you, both financially and easy, simple from the perspective of not having to go out and inconvenience yourself.
I love that. I love it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Don't guess. Test.
Yeah.
Get it tested.
Oh,
Like
I love that.
what's that gonna hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Allison? Anything you'd like to leave with everyone?
I'll end with anything. Well, this has been fun. Thank you guys for even having me on. I always say if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you're not feeling great, regardless of what you're doing medically and all the long list of medications that you're on, just like Evan said, there is no reason to not do a full panel of labs. You're not obligated to anything. You are given, you're educated and you are given recommendations. So then therefore you can make that decision on what you want to do. But if you don't know, like I said earlier, if you don't know, you don't know. So the only way to know is to do the testing. So like Evan just said as well, and like Maggie, like there's no excuse anymore. So I'm excited. Like I said earlier, the fact that this has been it is widespread now. The amount of people we have coming in and the excitement, it's almost been overwhelming, but I'm loving every second of it because of how long I've been doing this, and finally it is accepted and I'm loving it.
Me too.
Well,
I haven't
thank
been
you
as
so
silly as it has absolutely been so much fun, and the most fun for everybody on the phone here, obviously, is watching that change occur in people where they couldn't find it, now they have one, and they've literally turned their life around.
Absolutely.
It's like someone waved. It isn't a magic wand, but it's like someone waved a wand. And well, that's why I say, like, you don't have any excuses. Get checked. Today could be that start where you start to feel better and have much better quality of life.
And that's why I'm still so passionate about this 18 years later, not for even my own health, but to see that light come on in patients on a daily basis, and to get those thank yous, like, you changed my life. I was in a dark place and now I'm, feel amazing. So like, same with you, Maggie, like it definitely is. It's so fulfilling for me, but I'm going to continue doing this until I can save the world.
I love it.
Keep going.
Well, I think all the time, what would have happened to me had I not made that phone call?
Yeah.
Where would I be? I honestly don't know if I would be here. Getting a little dark, but that's the truth.
Absolutely.
So it could be that life-changing for someone. So don't wait.
Agreed.
Just make that little phone call.
You have to watch Maggie's story on FUNC_health on Instagram. The transition of Maggie is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And all the credit to you, Maggie, for taking that step and working hard to become who you want to be, which is,
Well, thank you.
And watch her story. I mean, so many people.
So nice.
I'm so envious. So many people are, and all you got to do is just do what Maggie did, pretty much. Just take that step.
Well, one of the things I did was had my discovery call.
Yeah.
And that was a big pivotal point for
Yeah.
sure. I'm grateful every day for that. So thank you so much. And let's just remind everyone that they can go to www.dynamichealthinstitute.com. That's right?
Yep.
You can discover, or you can schedule your discovery call right from there.
Mhm.
And then
it's free.
And it's free.
Yep.
You really don't have an excuse, none. So you can look forward to some more information from this podcast. I think we're going to be on Spotify. You'll see clips on the Instagram accounts, and hopefully this will help answer your questions about your future health with Dynamic Health Institute, and look at you as a whole, get you fixed up, ready for your future. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
Bye, guys.
Bye.